What is going on, my fellow Vikings of Valheim? It is Ghost here again with another build tutorial video for you, and in this video I give you over 100 landscaping and decorating ideas to decorate the outside of your home or base. I'll show you how to build everything you're seeing here and more. Before I kick things off, I want to thank a few specific members of the Valheim community for their contributions to some of the ideas in this video. Those members are Jen, Lynn, Miss Yi, and Ogre Slayer. I'll link their preferred socials below along with my growing Discord community where you can share your ideas and even talk to me one-on-one if you want. I would also like to thank everyone who has subbed to this channel. I am absolutely humbled at the number of you that like, share, comment, and do all of that great stuff on my videos, and for those of you who have dedicated themselves to watching my content and subscribing. You're all wonderful humans and I love you all. I have put this video together based off of what I think is the most important elements first. We will start off this video by showing you ponds and pond ideas. Next we'll move to landscape details, then lighting ideas, and then how to build a pool and pool ideas as well as furniture to place around that pool. After that will be fence ideas, and then for the last part of the video I will show you all the spawn commands for everything I used. Timestamps for each of the parts is below in the description so you can jump ahead to a specific part if you want. So here it is, over 100 landscaping ideas. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you all the different things that you could put into a pond to make it really nice. Again, at the end of this video, I'll show you all of these spawn commands so that you don't have to guess. You can build many different shapes and sizes of ponds. For hardscape ponds, you can use stone floors and make any shape you want. Here I'm making a round one, but you can make square, you can make rectangular, whatever you want. You also don't have to use floor pieces, you could even use stone wall pieces around a natural pond. I personally prefer the natural look over the hardscape look, but this is completely up to you. I built this one because it worked with the patio. For this one, I placed bulrushes with the cultivator, then I placed a high stone, 2 marker stones, and then I used circling trophies on item stands for the lights. Just super quickly, you can throw some stone walls around a natural pond and then work from there. For this pond pagoda, I built the feet out of item stands and then I placed a 1x1 floor on top. For the body, I used vertical item stands and then horizontal ones for the base around it. Then I placed yellow mushrooms inside and built a 3-tiered roof using horizontal item stands. The yellow mushrooms inside help with some of the lighting effects in the pond. Here's a quick little tip for adding detail in the bottom of your pond. Try stone piles. They help to break up the otherwise regular look of dirt on the bottom of your pond. To add lily pads and bulrushes, just use the cultivator and the water just like you're replacing grass. Now the lily pads is completely random. I believe there are veins in each seed that lily pads will spawn, and you just get lucky whether you get lily pads or not. You also have to have very shallow water. For water lily flowers, you should try to spawn cloudberry bushes over top of the lily pads. You can also get rid of the repeating pattern of a stone cliff by using the cultivator on the face of the cliff with the grass setting on. You can add fish to your pond by using the spawn commands that you're seeing at the bottom of the screen. They'll most likely end up out of the pond at some point and you'll have to restock it, but it's really cool for the time that they're actually in the pond. It looks really good for videos as well. This is an idea that I got from Miss Yi. I saw a photo of hers that she posted where she had all these little individual stones placed along the pathway, and I thought it was a really interesting idea, so I thought I'd include it in this tutorial. So I came up with this temporary fence to help you spawn them exactly where you want them. I find that they spawn in about 1 meter from you after you hit enter. So just build a temporary fence along where you want them, and as long as you're facing forward, it will spawn 1 meter ahead of you. And then after you've spawned all the stones in, you can remove the fence. Here I also spawn in a whole slew of different stone types that you can use. One other detail for the bottom of your ponds, try spawning in some dead branches. Next, I'm going to show you a whole bunch of pond lighting ideas and tricks. The first one is like a strip lighting around your pond, and for that what I use is 2-meter beams around the perimeter of the pond, and then I place item stands on top. Then I fill all the item stands with yellow mushrooms. You can also use blue mushrooms. You can even use circling trophies. And then I just use signs all the way around just to build like a trough. I find using the signs to hide the lights a little bit looks better in my opinion. Here are 2 tricks I use for pond lighting. I like to hide torches behind rocks where you won't see them, just so that the top of the torch sticks out of the water and keeps the fire lit, but is hidden mostly under the water. The other one is I randomly place yellow mushrooms throughout the pond to help light the water up. Both of these tricks add a really nice lighting effect at nighttime. One more thing I like to do is hide guck sacks behind trees or other things. Now these things only face one direction, so when you spawn them in, if it's not facing the right direction, you probably won't be able to use it there. As far as I know, they face east-west, so spawn them in. If you don't like it, use your axe to remove it, but it really adds a cool effect. thistles are a 2-for-1 deal. They not only add vegetation to your pond, but also a really nice light source. Fireflies aren't really a lighting effect, but I thought I'd add them in because there's something really cool when you are taking videos of your builds. Now these things are also only temporary. In this section we have landscaping details, furniture, and lighting. There's no tutorial for this bonsai tree, but if you're interested in downloading it, the VBuild file link is in the description of the video. I will warn you, it is a high instance count. For this stone well, start by creating a circle using 1 meter stone walls with 2 rotations per placement. Next, hold shift and place a 1 meter beam on top, then a 2 meter beam across, and snap another 1 meter beam to the end of that. After that, you're going to mesh 1 meter beams halfway through inside the first ones that you placed. Then destroy the 1 and 2 meter beams that you placed in the previous step, then using 2 meter posts, mesh them halfway through the stone and stack one on top of each other. Stack 5 vertical item stands in front of each other and then place one in the hole and place a flint spear, and this will be your rope for your well. Use a 2 meter iron beam and place it on the front of the item stands that you just placed. To create the crank, I use horizontal and vertical item stands, and I place a bronze buckler and then a iron mace. For the spool, I just used a banded shield. Remove 4 of the vertical item stands from the back of the front one, and then use 2 meter core wood posts stuck against the side of the wood posts, and then while using the wood post as a backer, place on a roof piece and then remove the vertical wood posts from the outside. Here's a little detail I added by spawning a bucket in. This step is completely optional. You can also add some signs to add a wooden border to it. I added a little detail to this ordinary fireplace by adding a ring of item stands around it. I then added this little grill over top using signs because I thought it looked pretty neat. This is a curved pool lounge chair, and to start it off I placed 2 1x1 floor panels down because chairs can't be built in water. Then I stacked 3 chairs beside each other. Next I used a half wall along the side of the chairs, and this is to give me a backer to work off of, because then I used signs to create the waved pattern. After creating the body of the chair, I just use horizontal item stands to create the arms. This is another version of a pool lounge chair that I use walls for backer and signs for the body. I then use item stands to create the legs and the armrests. What I did here was I removed every other sign and then I used item stands in between them for a hidden frame. Here's one last lounge chair. This one's very similar to the first, where it uses 3 chairs in a row, and then I use 2 1x1 floor panels with signs all the way around to frame it out, and then I use item stands as the armrests. For this couch, I use 1x1 floor panels in the shape of an L. They're 1.5 wide, so I do an L with 1 full floor panel, and then I mesh the second row halfway through the first. I go 4 high with this. Then I use half walls for the back and the armrests, and I wrap it all in signs, and then I use signs to create the pillows. Here's another type of couch. It's called a platform couch, and to build it, I build a platform using beams and floor panels. I build the platform 2 high with signs wrapped around the perimeter, and then I use half walls for the back of the couch and signs, as well as vertical item stands for the pillows. What I didn't do in this build that I should have was put a rug on top, maybe a wolf or a lox pelt rug. Here's a patio table with an umbrella that I built, and to build it I used a 1 meter post first, then I added 4 item stands on top of that. I placed a shield on top of the very top item stand, then a 2 meter iron post on top of that with another item stand and shield, and then another 1 meter post on top of that. Then I created the table using 1 meter beams rotated around the post, and the umbrella is 26-degree beams rotated around the post as well. From there I used vertical item stands with circling trophies just underneath where the post and the umbrella meet, and then under that I used horizontal item stands with yellow mushrooms for lights. For this barbecue, I start off with 2 2-meter beams on the ground, then I place stools in front of that. On top of the beams, then I put 4 chairs meshed together. Then I'll use 2 signs on the sides to create the sides of the barbecue, 2 signs on the front with the text field facing out so I can add symbols for the knobs, and then 2 signs in the back of the barbecue to give me a point to mount a item stand, which I will mount iron tower shields to for the grills. I use item stands and circling trophies for the flames. This is a completely functional sundial if you build it correctly, and to build it correctly you have to be facing true north when you build the gnomon. So look at your mini map. If the arrow is facing perfectly straight, that's the direction that you want to build the gnomon. And to build that, use the 45 roof gable with a 45-degree beam on the end of it, and then you just have to build a circle around it and you can finish it off any way you want. This one I built a circle with wood beams, and then I finished the outside ring with stone. At 12 o'clock noon, the shadow will be perfectly facing north. You can see that this works because I'm using the time of day command and I've set it for noon. Here's a deck pergola, and these things are kind of a decorative roof piece. They don't actually add any shelter, but they're built with planks of wood. They're actually very common. So to build it, you just alternate between beams and signs until you've gone the entire length of where you want to build it. You can also build this on top of a frame if you want. This is a little garden pergola, and to build this I use walls for backer so I can line up stools. I stack 2 rows of stools on either side, and then I wrap the stack of stools in vertical item stands. Then I'll build a pergola on top using beams and signs. This is great for a little archway or doorway into like a garden, or even where you breed boars or any other place that you want to place it. You can place a gate in between it so that if you're using it for an entrance to a boar breeding area, they won't get out. Make sure you build this pergola on both sides of the arch. This is a little fire feature I used near my hot tub on my deck. It's nothing overly interesting. It's just a row of stones with item stands and circling trophies on top with signs around the trophies to create a frame for the fire. You can finish this off any way you please. I made it into kind of a little bar. This is an idea given to me by a member of my Discord channel by the name of Jen. She found out you can mesh wood stairs into stone stairs and get this cool little wooden framed stone stair effect. I really like this, so that's the reason why I included it in here and gave her credit for it. I really like how the wood accents the stone and how simple it is to create. I came across this little oak round table idea when I was just messing around. Personally, I'm not too fond of it, but I thought I'd include it in here because somebody might be able to expand on it. But it's quite simple. You just stack stone floors 2 high, and then you mesh the top one halfway through the bottom one and place a fire pit on it, and then you spawn in an oak stump and you can place a patio around it and benches or even chairs. But if somebody wants to expand on this idea, that'd be really great. I feel like this might have some potential if somebody puts some more time into it. This is a super simple arch bridge that I made by using walls as a backer so I could slide beams in to create a perfect arch. I then finished the sides of the bridge by using vertical item stands rotated so the smooth side is facing out. For this simple garden well, what I do is I place down a forge and then I use the water bucket forge upgrade. Then I place down a 1 meter post with 2 item stands on top. Then I place a bronze buckler on top of that. Then I stack 8 item stands on top of the shield, with the top one making sure that the tab is facing the back of the water well so that I can place an iron mace and the head of the iron mace is facing towards the back of the well. Then I cover the head of the mace with a 2 meter post and place a vertical item stand on the front of it. After the well is built, you can destroy the forge. To build a birdhouse, the first thing you do is hang a brazier and then you stack 3 item stands in the center to put the fire out. Next, you'll use vertical item stands and create a box, and then you create the roof using horizontal item stands, and to finish it off, use a horizontal item stand with the tab facing in and place a hammer on it. These look really good hanging from trees, and I would suggest doing that around your base. This is probably my favorite little detail that I have in my build. For this little garden wagon, what you need to do is place down a beam with 2 1 meter floor panels on top of it, then create a border around the base of it, and that will give you a spot to place your reticle so you can slide signs in to create the walls of the wagon. Once you finish creating the walls of the wagon, you can destroy these beams and you place in vertical item stands at the front and the back on both sides, and then attach bronze shields to them. These will create the wheels of the wagon. From there, you use horizontal item stands off the front and stack them out on an angle and place a hammer on the last one to create the handle of the wagon. After you've created the wagon, you can then spawn whatever plants in you want on it. For this little garden bench, I place down a vertical item stand and then I use a beam to be able to line up the item stand on the other side. I use another beam in between these and I slide it down about halfway through the item stands, and that's so that when I create the next cross beam using horizontal item stands, they line up with the little tabs on the vertical ones. After I've done this, I use a half wall as a backer so I can place 1 by 1 floor panels on top and create the top of the bench. Here's another idea that I got inspiration from Miss Yi, and this is an old plank pathway. It's fairly simple to do. You just randomly place down 2 or 1 meter beams on the ground, and then you manipulate the earth around it so that they look half sunken. And then I go around with the pickaxe and I just hit them to give them more of a weathered look. This is another pathway, but this time we're using stone floor pieces, and it works exactly the same as the old wooden plank pathway. This swing bench is a bit complicated to build, but the first step is to use ladders to make a triangular frame, and then you will build off the side of this frame using horizontal item stands and create a triangle. From there, you're going to use 1 meter posts and slide them in so they mesh flush to the edge of the ladders, and this will give you a backer to place the legs of the frame, and you'll use item stands for that as well. Remember these steps because you're going to have to build 2 of these, one on either side. They just have to mirror each other so the item stands face each other, but that will come after you build a bench in between them. Place down a 2 meter beam with a bench on top, then get on top of the A-frame and look directly down and start stacking item stands all the way to the top of the frame. Once you get to the top of the frame, use a 2 meter beam across over top of the bench and create a beam along the top of this one using item stands, and then create another stack of item stands on the other side of the bench all the way to the top of this little beam that you've built. Now you can destroy the temporary beams that you placed and create the other A-frame on the other side, remembering to mirror it so the item stands face each other. Now you can get rid of the ladders and the temporary framing and start building out the bench by using signs and vertical item stands. Use 2 vertical item stands on the ends of the bench and signs on the back to build up a backrest for the bench. The last step is to place some 1x1 panels on top for a roof. For this pizza oven, place down a 2 meter wide stone wall, then rotate 1 meter wide stone walls with 2 rotations on either side. Place some signs along the front, and then you can create a border using item stands all the way along the front side of the pizza oven. Then you'll use 2 arches to create the opening and place circling trophies on item stands inside for the fire. For the chimney, stack 2 stone columns on top of each other, and you can finish the back off by rotating 2 meter stone walls in on themselves, and then I stack stone columns on the outside to give me a backer to place in some wood beams to create a sort of roof looking profile on the top. Once I finish that, I create a little table off the side using 1x1 floor panels, signs, and item stands for the pizza paddle. There's actually a story behind this pizza oven. It ended up actually not going into my build, but I put it in the tutorial because I was actually on another community Discord, and somebody by the name of Luna challenged me and another builder to make a giant pizza. I misunderstood the challenge and actually thought they were asking for a pizza oven, so I built this in 10 minutes as sort of a joke, but then I thought this was a really good idea to put in my tutorial, so it ended up getting into this video. So I guess I have Luna to thank for this idea. This isn't so much an idea as it is a decoration that I thought might be interesting to some people, but you can spawn in a stone portal. I'm not sure if it actually works, and I don't think it actually falls. It stays in place. You can destroy it, but somebody might find this useful. Here's a few lighting ideas for the outside of your build. For in-floor lighting, I just leave a gap between stones, and then I place item stands all the way along the gap with yellow mushrooms on top, and I use signs to straighten out the line because the gap between the stones is kind of wiggly. I can do the same technique as the floor lighting for wall lighting. I just leave a gap between stones and line it with yellow mushrooms. For this pillar light, I start with a stone column and then I place a 1 meter post offset. This will give me a backer to slide another 1 meter post down into the center, and then I place 3 item stands on top of it. These item stands will give me an offset for the 1 meter by 1 meter floor panel that I place on top of them. That allows me to see the lights between the pillar and the signs that I place around the edge. I then place a 2 by 2 floor panel on top of the 1 by 1, and this gives me a backer to slide signs in so that they touch the 1 by 1 floor panel. Then I go around with item stands, place them on the central pole, and place yellow mushrooms on those. This pole light is inspired from another Valheim builder by the name of Linypin. She has pole lights that use yellow mushrooms and have gaps in between them. I modified the design slightly to use the fire swords, and how I build it is I stack 2 2-meter posts, then I'll place down a 1 meter beam, then a vertical item stand against the post, then a 1 meter post on top of the 1 meter beam, and then I'll put another 1 meter beam on top of the post. The horizontal beams create gaps between the vertical posts and allow you to place item stands between them so you can mount the swords. After I've created the basic pole, I will remove the 2 2-meter posts on the backside, and then I wrap it in vertical item stands so that the tab is facing in and the smooth part is facing out. I'm using the flaming swords, which are not something you can build in survival. These have to be spawned in, and the spawn code for them is shown at the bottom of the screen. These swords let off a fair amount of light and the fire never goes out, so they're great for using as lights. Here is a little photo tutorial to build Lynn's original lights. Also check her out on YouTube. I have posted a link for her page in the description of this video. She has amazing designs. These are some rope lights I came up with by using item stands mounted to any surface, and I'm leaving them in an arch pattern that makes them look like they've been hung. You can do these free air as well, but you have to build a temporary wall between the 2 points that you want the light rope to attach, and then you use the wall as a backer, and then after you've got the rope built from end to end, you just remove the temporary walls and install your lights. For lights, you can use yellow or blue mushrooms or any of the glowing potions. You could try frost resistant potions, or even poison resistant potions, or even stamina potions. Try these rope lights around a tree by wrapping item stands around the trunk and placing mushrooms on it. It looks really cool at night. Not everybody knows how to do it, so here's how to build a pool. The easiest thing to do is dig down near water so you don't have to dig so deep, but dig the rough shape of the pool you want down to the water line. Make sure that you go deep enough that when you place stone floor pieces in, that they're below the water, but not deep enough that you can't walk on them. After I've got the hole dug the rough size that I want, I use the hoe to flatten the earth at the base to make placing the stone floors in easier. You can build the walls out of stone floors or even stone walls. I prefer the stone floors because they have a smoother look. Here's some ideas that you can place around your pool. This is a simple in-pool hot tub. I just created a ring using stone arches or walls. It's your choice. I use the arches because the top is a little smoother. And then I put stone stairs on the inside and the outside, and then replaced the stone floors around the area. I suggest using some of the lighting techniques that I showed you to accentuate this hot tub inside the pool. So try some glowing mushrooms. You can try placing them between the stairs and even in the center. I slid these stone stairs through the arches so that the top stair created a border around the outside of the hot tub. It also gives me another snap point on the outside perimeter for the outer stairs. This little hot tub was a bit difficult to come up with. I wanted to have what looked like stepping stones that separated the hot tub from the main pool, and it took me quite a few attempts to get the spacing right. I'll try my best to explain how I did it. These beams that I placed on the stone floor are temporary and just represent where I want the gaps. So what I did was I stacked the same amount of temporary beams beside this stone floor border. So 3 on one side and 2 on the other. That will give me a backer to put my reticle on so I can place a a stone that will help me shift the outside border the required amount so that I could get the proper gaps in between the stones later on. This first stone helps me shift the border into the right position so that at the end I have the right amount of gap to create the stepping stone look. Without doing this, the pool border doesn't line up with the stepping stones, so it's important that you get this step correct. By using that first stone as a backer, I place in new stones, and this will help me shift the pool border by giving me new snap points. Now I'm going to shift the pool border over to the left. I do the same thing on this side of the pool as well. Working off one of the new corners that I've created, I place a beam, then a stone, and then another beam, and I work all the way around until I've reached the other side of the pool, and then I just correct the border to tie into the new placement. Here's a simple poolside bar. I create a wall and then I use 1x1 floor panels for the bar. For the stools, I use a 1 meter post with an item stand on top and then a shield on top of that to create the seat. For the TV, I just use signs. This swim up bar is built with stone walls with 1x1 floor panels on top. For the stools, I just stack item stands and place wooden shields on top of them. I created the border by using signs. Build a fascia board around your pool with signs. This will help the pool contrast from the surrounding area. I think it adds a nice detail as well. For this light, I use horizontal item stands with yellow mushrooms on top. Then I'll place a vertical item stand to that with the smooth face facing out to hide the front of the mushroom. And then finally, I go over with a horizontal item stand over top to hide the top of the mushroom. For a pool ladder, I use item stands with the tab facing the wall. I stack them with gaps between them, and then I use stone axes for the ladder rungs. For a diving board, I place a sign with a ladder attached to the back, and then I use 1x1 floor panels off of that for the actual board. Here's 2 patterns I use with stone floors. I like to have my patio pattern slightly lower than the border, so I hold shift and I drag the first stone down. For the diamond, I just rotate it 45 degrees and then build out the pattern. For the brick pattern, again, I like to have the pattern a little bit lower than the border, so I place down my first row. For the rows after that, I'll first place down a 2-meter stone and then build off of that, and that helps to offset the gaps between the stones. I use these patterns a lot in most of my builds, and I like to mix them up with each other, sometimes using a diamond pattern in the center and a brick pattern around the edge. Here are a few fence and handrail ideas. This handrail uses flint spears for a very unique look. If this handrail pattern is something that you want to build, the easiest thing to do is head to the link in the description for my video of 100 interior decorating ideas. At the 7-minute mark is where this handrail is explained in great detail. That video also happens to be part of this series, so if you're following this series, you're probably going to watch that video anyways. But again, I've linked that video in the description of this video with the 7-minute timestamp. You can find all the timestamps for that video in the description. This is a very simple core wood log fence, and all you do is stack up 4-meter core wood logs. This slat fence was actually an idea given to me by a member of my Discord community, Ogre Slayer, who happens to also be the creator of the chandelier that I shared. For this fence, you just use a core wood log with regular beams on top, then another core wood log, and you stack this up. Then you remove the core wood logs, and by some magical reason, the regular beams will stay floating, but there'll be a gap between them. Ogre Slayer regularly shares ideas with me, and you should check him out. I'll leave a link for his preferred social in the description of this video. For this wrought iron fence, I'll place a stone pillar and then I make a line of iron gates along where I want to build the fence. Then I just stack stone pillars beside each other and remove every other one. This is an abstract fence design that I came up with while tinkering. It didn't end up being used in my build, but it uses alternating rotated chairs with a beam along the top for the railing. For this privacy fence, I used the same technique that Ogre Slayer showed me for the slat fence, and then I stacked 2 rows of stools on top of it. This louver fence is very simple, and all it is stacked benches. In this section, I show you all the spawn commands for things you can use for landscaping. For perfectly placing bushes and shrubs, you can use this little trick by building a fence 1 meter off the wall, place a beam against the wall, and then build a fence along it. Use this fence to stand against while you spawn in whatever it is you want placed. I find that shrubs, trees, and bushes all spawn 1 meter from you. If you have a gap, just place 1 beam, stand against it, and spawn your bush in. Here's a nice little fern that you can use as well. You can use the same trick for these shrubs as you did with the bushes, using a 1 meter fence to help you spawn them in correctly. And here I'm using the intersection points to place beams in and give me the exact location to perfectly space these shrubs. For these vines, I just wanted to give you a warning that they only point north-south. So when you spawn them in, make sure that you're spawning them on a wall that faces either north or south. To get them to spawn in at the right location, place 4 beams off of the wall that you want to spawn them in on. From this point forward, there isn't going to be much commentary. I don't need to commentary the spawn commands because they're at the bottom of the screen. The only time I'll leave commentary is if there is a specific thing that needs to be said about that item. Just remember to check the end card of this video because the other 2 videos that relate to this tutorial will be available for you to click and watch. I also want to thank you if you've made it this far in the video for watching everything. You're awesome and you have amazing patience. I know this has been long, but there was a lot to cover. I'll leave you with the music and comment when it's required. As far as I can tell, this stone doesn't actually fall from gravity, so wherever you spawn it in at, it will stay at that height. If you want it to touch the ground, you should dig down 2 or 3 pickaxe hits, and it should spawn on the ground. These stones are great because you can pick off individual pieces so they don't look patterned. that's the end of this landscaping tutorial. If you're interested in building the house that you're seeing here, which is also part of this series of videos, the link for that will be in the description of the video. There's also going to be a link in the end card after this scene, and it will take you to the other two parts for this series. One is building the house and the other is the interior decoration, so be sure to check those out. Like I did in the beginning of the video, I want to thank everybody who has liked, commented, and subscribed to my channel. You're all wonderful and it's really helped me grow this channel. So with all that being said, thank you very much, and this was another Build by Ghost.